Poor Jay.
All right. Ashley, whenever you are ready, we should be good to go.
Okay. All right, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the last Morris Brandon GOTeam meeting of the year, where we're going to follow our agenda that Kim emailed to everyone and has been publicly noticed. So today I'd like to remind everyone this is the meeting of the GOTeam, so only the GOTeam can participate in discussions today where there's no public comment. And any members of the public are, of course, welcome to quietly observe. And I'm pleased to call the meeting of the last Morris Brandon GOTeam to order at 3:31 p.m. All right, so our first order of business is to call roll. Secretary Kim, you'll take a roll.
Sure. Let me see if I see people, it's easier for me. So we have Jay, Ashley, Scott, Anna. I see she's on mute, so yes to her. What else do we have? Maggie.
Hey.
LaJoy, I see that you're on here on mute, so got it. Miss Mindy.
I'm here.
And Thomas, I heard your voice.
Yep, I'm here.
Has anyone seen Ashley Mathis? And Miss Minoff? Okay.
Somebody's trying to connect that has an A as their first initial, so that could be.
There's
Ashley.
Ashley
That's
Portis.
Ashley.
Yep, that's her.
That's Ashley Portis, I think,
Or-
though.
No. Oh, no, that's Ashley Portis, not Ashley Mathis. Sorry.
Let me call Lena real quick. Does anybody
Okay,
have
she might be
questions?
taking Michael to soccer.
She could be, but she would have told me she wasn't coming. Otherwise, she maybe forgot. So just hold tight real quick. Oh, here she is. You jumping on now.
Oh, okay, perfect. She's here.
Okay, so the team will only be able to take action. I don't think we have action items today, but wondering if a quorum is present. Kim, is there a quorum present?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to proceed to our action items, the first of which is to approve the agenda. It was emailed by Kim and copy is right here on the screen. Are there any changes to the agenda? Looks like we have a lot to go through today. May I have a motion
I'm
to
letting
approve?
Ashley in now too.
Oh, okay. May I have a motion to approve the agenda if there are no changes?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you. Thank you. Ina, was that Ina seconding?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye, so the secretary can record our vote.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? All right. We will now review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting, and the minutes were also emailed to everyone by Kim. Are there any corrections to our meeting minutes? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes?
Mindy Little makes motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll
A
make a
second?
motion to approve. Who was that?
Thank you. It was Mindy and, oh, who was this? Was that Ashley Mathis?
No, it was Mindy and Kim, and I just let Ashley back in.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll just put myself down. You're good.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All right, so we do not have any more action items, so I'm going to kick it over to Jay to our discussion items.
Just took a big bite of food. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, right when
No
you're
worries.
chewing the
I'm
2024.
good. I'm good.
Spring
We are here. It is our final GOTeam meeting. I promise you this meeting will be a marathon. We'll be here for 3 hours. Just kidding. The goal is keep it to an hour, not less. There's a lot of stuff on here, but we don't need to spend a million hours because a lot of the stuff we have discussed before, like our spring map data and some needs assessments and things like that. So I don't have a ton of agenda items, but I have some discussion items. that I think would be great to hear your feedback on and just kind of go from there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Are you able to see my screen switch over from the agenda to a PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Share, let me just present the slideshow. All right, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. It's our last one. It's our last one for, who's our last one on here? It's, well, we know Kim is up for election, so we're not gonna say her name, but Thomas and
Mine.
Maggie.
Yep.
Yep,
And
And
Mindy
yeah,
too, I
I'm
believe.
and LaJoy.
Yeah, me, I believe is my last one.
LaJoy, Mindy, and Maggie, right?
So Mindy and Maggie are rolling off. Thomas and LaJoy are
Yep.
rolling off, and Kim may or may not roll off. Awesome. Okay. So Ashley's back. Ina's back. Ashley's back. Trying to get my bearings straight here. And we've got some new people. That'll be great. All right. Let's keep rolling. We're going to take a look at our fall map, our spring map data results again. We've done this already, so we're going to go a little quicker on this if you're okay with that. We know what our map data looks like, and we know the correlation between the spring and the GMAS. Okay. All right. This is a little out of order. I'm going to come back to the best. We're going to do a needs assessment activity. Okay. And let's start with our map results. The best slide was a little out of order. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to that one. So let's talk about our spring map again, just real quickly. We had our reading. This is our growth quintiles. If you remember, we talked about this all being APS schools. We talked about this bar not even being halfway down to scroll. We know our 5 areas for growth. Anything in the blue means that 32% of our students had growth percentiles over an 80. And then we have 60, 40, 20, and less than 20. So what this shows us that at 812 exams, excluding pre-K and then our autism students, pretty much every kid in the school tested, and Brandon was #1 in growth quintiles for reading K5.
Woo!
Here we are for math.
Good. That's good perspective parent info.
That's
#1
true.
in reading growth K-5, right?
K-5
Mhm.
spring map 23-24. But you're right. Yes, parents like to see the growth, so we'll talk about that. I blacked out all the other schools. Here we are for math. I mean, it speaks itself. You know, here's reading, here's math. Nothing changes, right? And very similar with those growth percentiles. Remember these numbers: 17, 20, 32, 15, 21, 33. So are these the same kids that are growing? We don't know. This is very high level, but just know this is math. It's K-5, 812 kids. Here we are for science, right? Science is only 5th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th in high school. We would be the 2nd school for science. We have 111 students, and here we are, okay? High growth quintiles, #2 in the district. Notice where the bar is, because not every school tested their 5th graders in science. We decided to. I like to look at growth targets because I like to share with parents, because people get a little worried sometimes when their kid's not making adequate growth or having growth targets like that percentage below a 40. It's kind of important to know that really at most, like I tell you, maybe 60% of our kids in the whole school reach or exceed their growth target. So that's the highest in the district almost. So there's always going to be about 40 to 50% of our kids that just don't reach their growth target on map. And that is typical and that's normal. But here we are with our 812 kids is the 2nd school, where we have 57, and I think that's another 6% right there. So we have 63% of our kids met or exceeded their growth target for reading. Growth target is set when they take it in the winter, and then it tells you based on this score, you need to grow this many points by the end of the year. 64% of our kids met or exceeded that. Actually, the dark green means they exceeded it. So 6% met, and 57% actually exceeded that growth target. Here we are for math, 1, 2, 3rd school down, 60th exceeded with about another 3 or 4% that met their growth target. Very similar data to that growth quintiles, but this is just the target piece. Here we are for science, 5th grade, again, 58%. So we know this is only 5th graders, and a few more met, but 58 exceeded. High level overview. 5th graders can come in and just do really, really bad in the fall, and then just learn and do great. And then this is how you get your growth percentiles. They all met them. That's not really what happened, but that is a way that you can meet your growth percentiles, right? Showing high growth during the year. And our fifth graders did not perform that well in science early on. So because science is one of those skills that the standards are taught really just in fifth. So if you're trying to learn about organisms and classification and circuits, like and when you take that fall map assessment, they hadn't learned that yet. I mean, they didn't learn that in the younger grades. That's only a fifth grade standard. So they definitely learned that during the year. They took it again, and you can see that growth target. I want to show you some data from NWEA because this is the actual website that we give map on. This is not like APS graphs. So just showing you all grades in the whole school based on map gave us a 67 percentile for growth. Remember, 40 to 60 is typical. Anything over 60 is high growth. And here we are as an average for a school at 62. In achievement, we moved from the 77th percentile to the 79th percentile. This is for math. Okay, so the whole school actually grew 2 percentile points in achievement. All right, not easy to do for really. It's actually not easy to do to move achievement percentiles. Here's our growth percentiles for math, and I wanted you all to see this because this is off the NWEA website. Each of these is a grade level. Okay, I'm not going to tell you which grade levels they are, but each one of them is a grade level, which puts our average right here. Okay, that's the school. High achievement, high growth. Is every grade level contributing to that? Well, every grade level is contributing to it, but they're not, maybe not in a positive way. If two of these grade levels had been a little bit higher for math, for example, the school would be a little bit higher, okay? But on average, this is where we are. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6 grade levels really had the high growth and high achievement for math. Let's take a look at reading. 57th percentile for growth, right? We thought 40 to 60 is typical, so pretty high growth. And then we actually stayed pretty stagnant in the achievement, but that's okay because the achievement is really high in 82nd percentile. Math was 70 something. But if we were to talk to the school in regard actually to like a talking point, a better talking point would be that as a school, 812 students, the average is the 82nd percentile in achievement for the whole entire school. That's a talking point. That's a data point.
We're trying to clear script, so I'll make sure we get those. I'll clear those with you.
You know, right around 7 million kids, we're in the 82nd percentile for reading, achievement-wise, for the whole school, K through 5. Here we are with reading. Okay. Here we are. So here's our 5 grade levels that just crushed it and did a great job. And here's 1 grade level down here that just needs a little bit of higher growth. Is this untypical though? What did I say typical growth was? 40 to 60. And that's what they tell you. So they really are kind of right in the range they should be. But of course, we want to see it over 50. Okay. So that's all. And our school average is here. This is just an instructional strategies of some of the things that we've implemented this year. So I just want to remind everybody about our daily phonics that our teachers teach. We've adopted Heggerty, which is that multisensory learning that you'll see in our classrooms that the district actually purchased for us next year. We've created small class sizes as a reminder, mostly at the main campus for our innovative model for EIP. So less pull out and having more teachers on the grade level to serve our struggling kids. Really K-5, we have those class sizes. We did a lot of work with math unit internalization this year, kind of learning this new math program. And we really stuck with it pretty hard. And I think you can see that data on our map and our math growth. Lots of IB planning days. We talked about, we looked at Hattie. Remember Hattie's study, the #1 indicator that moves student achievement is collective teacher efficacy. That's what we are doing when we give our teacher these IB planning days and the days to work together and kind of own the work for all of our students. We merged our science units with IB and transdisciplinary learning. Our foundation paid for a science consultant to help with that, saw the data on there. Continue to use private tutors, EAF, through a funding that is given to us through donations. And lots of special ed supports this year. New teachers, hiring, data, we have mentors, and of course the CON project is our focus. My focus is around special education. So just some needs assessments, guiding questions. And I just kind of put these on here for you. Read them, let me know your thoughts, and you can tell me some as well. So what does the data tell us? And I'm going to open up to discussion in just a second at the end of the slide. I said it's a high-level overview. You're not going to be able to drill down on those 8 slides. And that was 8 slides of high-level overview. Imagine if I really wanted to dig in, we could be here all night with map data slides. I could go on and on and on and on. but it's a high level overview. The high level overview told us we had strong growth in reading and math, but we don't know who those kids were necessarily. What good news is there to celebrate? High achievement paired with high growth. We saw that. We're always going to be pretty high achieving. We can be in that 77th percentile and 82nd percentile. We can be, but are we growing too? That's the big question. High percentage of students meeting their growth targets. Where are the growth opportunities? There's no secret that our subgroups are progressing at different rates proficiency-wise. They might be growing at a greater rate than our general education kids are, but we're not seeing that growth between bands. So a special education or a subgroup student might be in the 4th percentile and then grow to the 12th percentile and have a huge growth percentile, but they're still a beginning learner, right? They're still red. So we're seeing other students grow at different rates, for example. And the movement between those proficiency bands are minimal. To move a kid from developing to proficient or beginning to developing takes so much work. It's hard. And if you have to move many kids like that, it's hard. And that's the work we have to do. So that's the challenge. And then some other opportunities. When I went to that slide and I showed you those 6 grade levels, but maybe 1 or 2 of them were a little bit below that line or whatnot. We had a goal that every teacher in our school had to have a conditional growth index above a 45. If they didn't have that conditional growth index above a 45, then they will get some additional support next year through some coaching and data feedback cycles. So that's sort of a plan of support for those teachers. Okay. And then some trends that we see in the data. We saw grade levels. One grade level demonstrated was a clear outlier for growth in reading on that spring. Remember that this one right here, right? So we know there's one grade level that's a little bit of an outlier. And then also 2 grade levels demonstrated lower growth for math, right? Who are these grade levels? What kind of supports do these need? Remember, it's just an average. So, that doesn't mean that it's the whole grade, but it's an average. Okay. So those are some takeaways from the high level data overview. So my needs assessment, and then I'll open it up to you all, is continued support for special populations. We know that our bread and butter at our school, that if we grow our most vulnerable students, all students will grow. All students will grow. Continued focus on early literacy, multisensory learning, and science of reading. That's our focus we're making a culture of readers in APS. So let's not make our goals different from the districts. Then also, I think we need some math year 2 support, right? Can't forget about math. We rolled it all out this year and then just kind of let it ride. Our teachers did well, but we do know that we need some year 2 support. So I just kind of wanted to open it up to you all. Please share any feedback you have, and I can scroll back to any slides that you need. You can raise your hand or come off mute, and then we'll start with Maggie. You want to go, Maggie?
Oh yeah, good, because I do have comments.
Go ahead.
I am really proud of our school. Seeing our name at the top of the list for the highest growth in reading and math and second for science, that means we are balanced in the way that we are crushing it. Growing kids is the work. I mean, that is it. We can't control how they come to us. What we can control is how we grow them, and we're doing it. Do we have room for growth? Always. But I'm really pleased with when this data came out. I was really excited, and I really think as a school we should kind of just collectively celebrate this, because for years there have been, what can we do to make this better? What can we do to get to the top? And we've gotten there, and I think there does need to be a moment of celebration. And then obviously we'll get back to work on, okay, now let's figure out how to support those kids or those teachers that need it. So that is my big overall statement. And then the next thing I wanted to know is, you mentioned a lot of the awesome things we're doing or that we did this last year. And I wanted to know which of those are continuing on into next year and which of those were just for this year.
Right. All great questions. Great feedback, by the way. Let's celebrate. Hopefully you all saw my shout out in our staff emails, and of course, doesn't last about a day. But right. Super excited. Feels good to know that the work we did was great. And being at the first, it doesn't mean that one grade level was carrying us and one just really, did not do well. That's an average, and we're at number 1. So everybody did what they were supposed to do this year, really, right? But what's continuing on for the next couple of years? I'm gonna go back to this needs assessment right here. I want to continue with all of this. I think it's a focus. I don't see anything going away. One thing I will tell you is we're going to drop the science units down to fourth grade next year. So now they're going to get some consultants and some work with science in fourth. We're going to continue with the grade level IB planning days, and we've allotted about 100K for subs, and a lot of that is for to have 3 to 4 days per grade level. And this is what I want to continue to work on. We have other stuff we have to do, most notably around MTSS and special education. And that is something that we are already working on and meeting about and talking about and trying to find better ways to serve our EIP teachers and give them feedback on the teaching they're doing. Because Mindy did an incredible job this year. I got to give her a shout out. I think she got 143 out of 150 on her rubric, which was like distinguished. But we know the areas of growth and we've met about that. And then we're going to talk about ways to support kind of our teachers and when they deliver that specially designed instruction, and then also our special ed teachers. So we just need to continue with this and continue with what we are doing. But I don't want anybody to forget, we have a big data piece that's coming up, and that can shift some of our decisions. And we have to make sure that the Georgia Milestones reflects the growth that we had on here, which it should, it will. But Georgia Milestones doesn't have, MAP doesn't have writing. It doesn't have any writing in there. So we're going to take a hard look, and we're in the process of working on our CIP, which is our continuous improvement plan, which is due in the middle of July. And we'll end up, the last step will be to take all of our milestone data, compile it, do a data protocol with that, and then create our CIP for next year. But Maggie, long story short, I want to continue with a lot of this, the same thing. Anybody else want to share any feedback or any notes on this?
Just comment feedback. 100% agree with everything Maggie said. Excellent results. It's hard to grow when you're already near the top. So tremendous job from everyone there. I do like how, as Maggie said, like there's always room for improvement, but I do like that we've already identified that in the strategic plan, and everything that we're seeing here is what we already kind of knew and is being addressed on a multi-year strategy here, what we went through a couple of months back for the school strategies. So I think it's a direct, correlation, and everything is being addressed, and it's definitely like spot on with the recommendations. So again, excellent job, and looking forward to growing even more.
Thank you for that. And I'm actually surprised they didn't put a slide to put our strategic plan in there. I should have just dropped it in there, but we were smart to put these strategies in our strategic plan, because some of the stuff we haven't quite lifted yet, like that science of reading, the Readers Are Leaders coach, the House Bill 538, like all that, but that is in our strategic plan, and that's what's going to drive our budget. So shout out to y'all for recognizing that and knowing that and that being in there. Anybody else want to share, or want to keep rolling? All right, let's keep going. All right. Needs assessment. Principals report. That's me again. I had to put a picture on here because it just said principals report. So I had a funny picture, and then Tamika was like, don't put that on there. You're not gonna get the joke. And then so I just put my headshot from like 6 years ago. All right. Let's talk about our security investment. I want to first of all remind everybody that we were kind of told at the before the last GOTeam meeting that we would be getting a $45,000 recurring annual security grant, right? And it was on the GOTeam to determine kind of the best way to spend that. I had my viewpoints, y'all had your viewpoints, but what are our teachers' viewpoints? And our parents had their viewpoints, right? So shout out to Kelly Shields. I will shout her out because we worked behind the scenes so often. She did help me with the survey, and we did put it together because we wanted to see kind of what our teachers feel like. So I'm going to walk through some of these steps. Where do our teachers feel that security, and not just the grant, but funding, supports, like just need to go? Where do we want our money to be? Do we want it to be in a living person? Do we want it to be in our classrooms, touching the students actually? Do we want it to be, do we want to get an SRO, and at what cost? Are we prepared to relinquish a position if we do that, and why? So a lot of those questions. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. And of course, GOTeam members, please stop me or feel free to come off of mute if you want to share anything. Okay. All right. A little bit about the survey. I'll let you read it. I tried really hard to get as many people to respond to this as well. One of the hardest things as a principal is literally to get people to do surveys because there's so many of them. I don't know if it's like that in regular workforce, but unless I'm texting them the link to their phones, I've learned it's hard to get a survey done. But we were able to get 57% of our staff, and I do think a lot of them are homeroom teachers because the hardest people to get to do surveys are like your support staff and those people that don't always check their emails. So that's good. But still, I think 60% would probably be ideal, probably a little bit higher, but we'll take the 57%, 57 responses, and that's because I based it off about 100 staff, right about 100 staff. We gave them the option to leave their name, and we asked about these three big buckets. Here's some findings. Go ahead and read them on your own. I'll read them out loud too. Staff prioritized using the FY25 state security grant for increased camera coverage, including the outdoors. The majority of our staff said SROs are important to them, but could not identify a position to trade out of our current budget to support one. With additional budget, teammates would want to add other positions. These are the positions they'd want to see. So we gave that question at the end. If you had a magic wand and could wave to buy any position, what would it be? Special educators, interventionists, behavior specialists. Where do these three staff, who do they support most notably, right? Special populations, right? People that need our extra support. It's important that we recognize that, but also our teachers do, right? So our goals are very much all aligned. Staff's highest priority for a one-time grant, if we were to get a one-time grant, would be that increased camera coverage, okay? They were asked to prioritize the 6 options. They brainstormed the last GOTeam, so we only put 6 on there. In order to understand the relative importance, they could write in an option if they wanted to, and staff members' top priority was camera coverage, okay? And that was the highest ranked, so the lower the number, the highest ranked. So staff ultimately wanted to see more camera coverage. That is something that I absolutely cannot argue with, as I have my cameras up on my screen all day. But outdoors is difficult. At night is difficult. Like if a crime happens on property when it's dark out, like I can't do anything about it. And we've had a lot of vandalism at night, or stuff on the playgrounds. All that's like, if a teacher's not watching it, I'm never going to get a good camera shot of it. Hallways, stairwells. We've got lots of empty stairwells with no cameras. All stuff that our teachers recognize we need some coverage there because they sit in our offices while we go through those cameras sometimes and see that we don't have that. Staff members' top priority is camera footage. School resource officer was the 4th highest ranked. Remember, that was 4 out of 6. Okay. While an SRO is important, most staff, it is not more important than other positions that are already in the budget. Okay, and that's the key takeaway we took from those 57% or 57 staff members. They were asked how important an SRO is and separately what Brandon should trade out from its budget in order to afford SROs. So 68% of them said it was important. This is how it's broken up. 21% of that 68% said it was very important. But out of those important people, 87% of that 68 really could not figure out kind of who they could give up for that role. So these are some of the positions they sort of named, right? Language lab, ABIB, but you're not seeing like, you're not seeing, let me let some people in. They didn't really know what to give up for that. Okay. Any feedback so far on this? This is very much just need to know. I just kind of want you guys to know this too. And this is going to help funnel any other security support. So I'm going to share this with Foundation next. You all are always the first ones to kind of see. All right, let's keep rolling. Future security investments. To help in future planning, staff were asked what security enhancements they'd make to the school if money were no object. Okay. If money were no object, sure. Let's get one, right? We know in SRO, money is an object. We know it's $109,000 per year. So it's very difficult to plan out. It's not something that is long-term. So a camera investment, $45,000 will be good for the next 20 years. But $109,000 for a human investment is every single year, as we know. And it's difficult to plan 10 years out, knowing that it's very difficult to pull those supports back, right? So if money were no option, take a look at some of these. I like these. Footprint, badge readers, more badge readers, classroom door security. There's some little barricades you can put on the doors so doors can't open. Safe rooms, Pods. You ever seen those ones you can pull clothes in your room and it basically makes another room inside of your room that kids can hide in? I can only imagine they're probably 25 to 30 grand a classroom, but money's no option. They asked for that. A security vestibule. Good news. Take care of that one this summer, right? Parking lot gates. Love it. Secure the playground or move the PC playground to the back. More walkie-talkies and cell phones. Cell phones, they say that because they're dead spaces if you don't have Verizon at the PC, right? A traffic officer. Yes, that's what I would love. I'd love to have that. Security alarms, tinted windows, and then security culture blinds, just other things that people wanted. So I thought this was good because I do think that we can fund some of these without having some huge security investments, right? We're getting our vestibule, but we always will buy more walkie-talkies, and we will always work to get we can always try and get more badge readers and things like that I can work with. So I like to see what staff want. If you had a magic wand to grant one wish to include in our campus budget, what would it be? This does not have to be related to security. So now people were asked, what do you just want if we can buy anything? And they really just want other positions, right? They want other positions in our school and positions that will support student growth and student learning. Add staff was the clear preference. A one-time non-personnel investments were also named, right? So this is kind of what people would want if they had a magic wand. An SRO, 2 people out of the 57 had indicated that, but they would indicate that if money were no options as well on staffing, they would get an SRO. And then also said, as a reminder, not quite sure what position they would want to give up if we had to get an SRO, if we were to get one. Okay. Added positions, what would those positions be? What would the teachers want to add? Special ed. Good news. We're going to get another allotment. We're going to earn another special ed teacher. I'm excited about that. So that wish has been granted. Check. I'm going to make sure of that. I'll just say that, but it's going to happen. Gifted teacher, super important. We want to get a gifted teacher. Another counselor, absolutely. We're going to have 900 kids next year. Another intervention teacher, that was my thought. Behavior specialist teacher, science lab teacher, another French teacher, DLI teaching assistant. These are the positions that our teachers want. Really good, valuable feedback here. And then just close out the survey and shout out to Kelly for helping this. I love this. It's just to get some staff voices. So I'll just give you a minute to read these. Yeah, take a minute to read these. So I think you guys can probably correlate some of these statements to maybe some of where the budget could go, right? And yeah, I think it was just a really helpful exercise to get a kind of a pulse on our staff and their feelings and their feedback. I'm not sure how to make the primary center any more kid friendly. I got to tell you, it's almost like sensory overload. I want to take stuff off the walls there, but I like that comment though. Not everybody feels the same way as I do. I also think this comment stands out because I'm just going to take about 2 or 3 minutes to just let you know that we are having some budget issues in APS right now, if you're not aware of it. And part of those budget issues are because we have such a high staff to student ratio. And I learned that. And of course, when the budget is put on the teachers' plates on our budgets, like I can handle it, of course, we're going to get more staff. That's what we want to do. That's what principals are going to do. We did some surveys and we learned that in DeKalb and Gwinnett County, for example, there's like a 4-to-1 teacher to student ratio, right? APS is 9-to-1. When you have 9-to-1 and then the Board of Education and the State House and the Senate continue to increase teacher pay, it just created just a huge gap. So now we have way more teachers and we have way more salaries to fill. And
The
from
benefits went up too, Jay, the medical plan.
Yeah,
benefits.
but just to be, wait a minute, just to be clear though, there are a lot of schools in the district who are contributing more to this than our school specifically. So as a district overall, we have a lot of staff, but that doesn't necessarily mean
we have the kids too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have a lot of kids.
We have the kids. every school has contributed to the high teacher to student ratio. That's not just Brandon, right? But at the same time, we are bringing in more kids every year and we're growing. Another thing that I learned, and I'm going to tell you a budget number in just a minute, is that 67% of the schools in APS needed to have a small school supplement just to operate this year.
Right.
That means that the SSF formula, that $5,548 per kid, is just not even enough to run their building with 200 and 250 kids. You have to get more money. So we have kids, we have a lot of staff, but we also have a lot of kids. But what I'm going to tell you is two things. One, they've taken half of our reserve. So we had 145,000 reserve. So we lost half of that. So now we're down to about 70,000. They had to take that. So the reserve is 2%. They took 1% of that. What did we do that was smart this year? We didn't touch the reserve for the first time. I didn't touch it. I was so excited to have 145,000 15 days into the school year. We won't have that now. We'll have 45 or 7, whatever, at 70 something. But that was going to be a position. We don't have enough for a full position now. But the goal would be to make sure that we hit our numbers and we can earn a little bit more than that. I just wanted to let you know that I don't have anything in here on the budget deduction. They didn't want me really to talk about that, but you're going to start to hear that. But I'm going to say that because and working with Kelly, who's on the call, who's been great, who is a budget person and was able to sit and listen to the budget meeting. APS really wants there was 3 things that were really wanted by our school system, right? Small class sizes. We wanted high student to teacher ratios, and we wanted a big touch point at CLL, people that can support all the staff. And they learned very quickly, you just can't have all 3 of those things, right? It costs too much money. So APS is making drastic cuts right now at central office. Important to know that we all know many people in many departments that no longer have a job for next year. They're really trying to not impact the schools just yet and the teachers. And I appreciate that, and I do. And APS is always looking after the schools and the students most notably. But it's just a tough time right now, and I'm hoping that this is the end of it for right now. But one of the most expensive things that you're going to hear about in our district is transportation and dual campuses. And the conversation is going to begin to come, I think within the next year or so, around like what do we do to make school less expensive to run for the district? And if it's dual campuses and north clusters and things like that are getting impacted, there may have to be some conversations around what that looks like. What does that look like for Brandon? I don't really know. Am I speaking out of line and out of place? Well, they talked about it on the board meeting, so I feel like it's appropriate to mention. But at the same time, we can't move more kids into our cluster because North Atlanta is at capacity. Sutton is at capacity. So what can we do with our cluster elementary schools and our students that we already have to help, to help with that budget and to help get us over the next 5-10 years through schooling?
I would like to, sorry, I just want to chime in really quickly.
Go ahead.
There are some dual campus schools in our cluster that are under occupied, and we are not one of them.
Yep.
So if that conversation comes up, I'm rolling off, so I'm going to be leaving this in everyone's hands. But if those conversations do come up, that needs to be brought up. And then also they can do a comparison about how much extra money goes towards dual campus schools versus small schools. Because while I understand wanting to have closer schools in communities, if that is what the big expense is, then they're going to have to have some conversations around that too. So we're not short on kids. I really think, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think we're the budget issue. So I think that if there are places where they are requiring more funds, then that would be where I would ideally like to see cuts happen in those places.
Yeah.
Jay, that was my question. Are they considering closing those smaller schools that also have, if you think a school has 250 to 300 kids, that's half of our primary center. Like that's, we are like 4 times the size of that school with 2 campuses. So will they consider closing some of those smaller schools to reduce funds before they encroach on schools like us that are at capacity?
Good. Yeah, great question. I don't know. I will tell you this. The good news is I think, Dr. Battle is staying on until December. And I don't know if that's a project that her leadership is going to take on. I think that's something that a new superintendent is going to need to do. I don't know. So I really don't. I don't know how urgent it is. So that gives us a little bit of time to kind of learn and figure that out. But I don't know, Mindy, and what you're saying has happened in the past. They have closed so many small schools too over the past 5 years. They really have. So I just don't know. And I will say, Maggie, to your piece, we are very much under capacity at the main campus. We're closer to like 55%, 57% based on their projections, right? And that means that every classroom is used to capacity, but we know that's not, reasonable. But we have classrooms at main campus that are empty. So we are not at full capacity at MC. PC, we are very much closer to that 90th percentile, if not above. But main campus has a lot of room to grow.
I'm wondering if that'll, our PC enrollment will roll
I
up,
think so too.
So
Do you know
that's
what
kind
our
of, I think,
overall
where I'm
school
seeing that.
capacity is? Do you know what our school projection capacity is number-wise?
You've said
Uh,
it
It's like
before.
1,200 or something.
1,300, a little bit over 1,300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be full. That would be over 90 at capacity, PCMC, 1,300 kids. We had 1,017 when I first came. We dropped down to 700. Next year, we're back to 900. You got to keep these grades rolling up. Got 80 kindergartners already enrolled. 80.
Jay, do we have any idea how much it costs, like to have a small school versus a dual campus? Like, I don't really kind of know the hard numbers there.
I could tell you what a small school supplement is, and I could tell you what a dual campus supplement is, like what they give you, because it's in our budget. I don't know how much it costs to run those schools though, or what of that, but I can tell you they give like it's almost similar. Like I think we get 160 grand for the well, that's for the staffing piece. That pays for Kate, it pays for Rock, it pays for Cole. Like that's what it is basically. But I could find that out for you. I can tell you what a small school supplement is, and they have to pay. That's not on my budget, so I have to ask that.
Well, and I'm thinking too, like just that, like you said, the transportation piece and how much that costs to run the buses, and then also if you think, our cafeteria staff, they are serving 500 kids, and how many of those do we have twice as many as they have, or 4 times as many? I don't know. I'm just kind of curious.
All I will say is the next Go team that's elected, we're gonna have our work cut out for us. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna be on some meetings, and I'm gonna tell you, I've been at schools that like Morningside when they had to sort of just accept a few kids over from E Rivers. I mean, it was so minimal, y'all. It was so minimal. And when I tell you we had meetings with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in our, it's just one of those things that the Go team may be called upon to make some great decisions. But with great power comes great responsibility, and we'll be able to do it together. But this is all just kind of FYI teeing you up and just knowing that I encourage you to watch budget meetings when they come around on the Board of Education websites and things like that.
Can you ask them not to order agendas? That will save them money on their line item.
Don't order agendas.
Maybe they could cut the budget around
No, seriously, on the agendas, they order them. We get them in November.
Right now. We didn't even get them for all the kids. I don't know if they do that anymore. Like they just send us a box.
Anna threw them away. We got them in English and in Spanish this year.
A lot of stuff is already earmarked. Like we're still getting our vestibules, right? Like that's not an issue at all. We're still getting our leaders coach, because that's all been budgeted. That's the big thing. So great questions. I will tell them to hold off on the agendas, and maybe that can save a paraprofessional.
It probably could. Those are expensive, let me tell you. I have tried to email the CFO about it.
Right.
Don't think I haven't.
All right, I'm going to keep rolling. Do you guys have anything else you want to share real quick? I got a couple chats. I'm going to read them out loud, just so we know. High salaries. Yep, I'm on it. Right.
High salaries.
Sorry, Jay, that was for me. It was, and I know that it's not appropriate for me to speak here. The 3 things that APS named as like expensive district strategies that they have are having a teacher salary that's in the top 75 percentile of metro area teacher scales. I'm not making a statement that our teachers are paid highly. I'm just saying that's comparative to the metro area, they're in the top 75 percentile. And then a high touch central office, and then the high staff to student ratio that Jay named. So those were the 3 things. I was correct.
Thanks, I stopped the recording on that. I'm starting the recording back. Boom, we're good. Okay.
Sorry.
Lena, type your comment in if you want, and I'll try we can read it out loud. I don't think our volume is working. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. And what we're going to do is we're going to be in good shape because we were smart with our budget. We're projected at a great number. We still have 70K in our reserve. I've got another 50K just to get us to start the year. And then we have an awesome amount in our sub budget. So we're going to be good at Brandon. We just need to kind of look at that 5-10 year outlook when we start hearing these conversations come around and just advocate for our school and community. Okay, Len, I'm looking for your comment whenever it comes on, but I want to keep rolling in respect of everybody's time. I'll come back to that really quickly. I'm curious how they figure out capacity. I know the MC has some empty classroom, but I'm not sure how. I agree. I agree. We have that capacity document, but I'm not quite sure. They take all the classrooms, they divide it by 22, and they tell you that's what you have. But they don't think about like, hey, like an autism classroom can only have 12 kids until you earn another para. Or a resource classroom it only has 3 kids. You know, you don't have a lot of kids in there. Or a science lab. I need a lab. I can't put a homeroom in there. You know, so that's just kind of how it works, but every school sort of gets that same treatment. And she doesn't know how to double our current number of kids. Where would they go? I don't know. I don't know a time Morris Brandon ever had 1,300, but they had 1,100, and they fit.
We didn't have French classrooms. They were on carts, and some of the specialists were too. They would come.
And language lab is on a cart at PC next year. Be like we are putting teachers in closets next year. I mean, for offices and stuff. Like PC is packed to the brim. We had to create 2 more homerooms in 2nd grade. No more room at PC. The good news is 2nd grade comes to Maine, so we're good every year. You know, but they are packed over there. All right, I want to keep rolling. I want to show you this infographic, and we're going to get some feedback on this quickly. And I'll take some notes. Shout out to Ashley Portis, my QR code queen. I just call her that because she does all the QR codes and all these infographics. It's awesome. So I spoke with Ashley. Ashley's gotten a couple comments around the greatschools.org. Ashley is very much a part of our prospective parents. She's helping us, you know, get these kids in here. We tell them all the great stuff that's happening. We can't show them our APS graphs dashboard sometimes. So we have to just basically answer, why are we a 6 out of 10, right? Why is a company in LA, in Silicon Valley, dictating the prices of your home values? I don't know, but apparently the data is lag data. It's a little bit older. It hasn't necessarily been updated. So we're going to put the data in our people's hands. And this is what Ashley sort of put together. So take a look at it. Some highlights are the 4 buckets for CCRPI. We know we have some growth with our closing the gaps, but why not put that on there, right? We have areas for growth. And we have a 95% content, readiness, progress. It tells you what it is. It shows people how to get involved. It talks about our school a little bit of feedback that I caught that I'll have adjusted before I give it to Ashley and all of our people are probably removing Eureka Math because we don't use that anymore. And maybe looking at a score. So we actually had a CCRPI score my first year. We got it our 2nd year right before the pandemic. It was a 95. That's what speaks to parents. 95 out of 100. One score. We haven't had a score since then. We're going to have one next year. Do we want to put a 2019 score of a 95 on there? I don't know. But I wanted to show you all this and tell me, and then somebody's making a comment about the school times. The school time. Yeah, that actually is the right times. But school starts at 7:45. Dismissal starts at 2:15, and then dismissal's out 2:45. So I need to clarify that. So 7:15, and then we need to adjust that from 2:15 to 2:45. So that's a good catch. I'll adjust that too. Thoughts? We don't have to spend too long on this. I was asked to create a kind of a prospective parent's guide. I think this is good.
Yeah, this is awesome. I hope that the other elementary schools will do this, because this is something NAPS can push out too. Because we have been getting a lot of feedback from the realtors, like what's going on with that great school score, which, you know, how I feel about that. So I think if we can be proactive, this is awesome.
All right. I love it. So what I'm going to do is remove Eureka. Do we want to put a score of a 95 from 2019? Yes or no? It just gives an overall number, but it's just so last 5 years ago. We don't have a school-wide score right now. We're not going to get one until next year. Yeah, we don't. We just have these 4 bucket scores, you know, so we leave it like that.
Can we do like some of our achievement from math data? I mean, that we just went over. Can we do something like that?
We can. I just think that map is so people that don't have kids in school don't understand it, like the actual like growth and stuff like that. They just want to see the hard numbers. I will tell you, there's a public dashboard. It's called Kelly, if you know it, type it top box. I can't remember what it's called. Not APS graphs, but it's something that parents can go on.
APS Insights.
Insights. APS Insights. And it's going to show you our 5-year trends of attendance, enrollment, and literacy and all that other stuff. So I think I want to put APS Insights on there too, that website that they can go on to a little bit more. But this is basically it. I'll adjust it. I'll adjust the school times. I'll remove Eureka, and I'll put that on there. And then Ashley, I'll send it to you and all of our prospective parents and any realtors we know and things like that. Let's just get it out there, and I'll put a stack at the front of our building too for parents to have. So I wanted to show you.
Share it with the principals too, so they can.
And actually, NAPS needs to take this and send it to the principals and say, "This is what Brandon did. We encourage you all to do this if you're getting questions around your whatever." I don't know what their greatschools.orgs look like though. I actually only care about North Brandon, so I don't. I'm just kidding. Let's keep rolling. I do want to help them, and I want to make sure they get it too. Quick hiring update. 100% fully staffed as of right now for next year. So far, we've successfully recommended. We're going to go through this just to make sure that everybody really knows what the vacancies are and kind of why people are leaving. We can talk about it. It's okay. 3 kindergarten teachers, Sarah Kramer, Selena Salibi, and Kate Cusack are all going, and we've made recommendations for those 3. And we're so excited to have them. 3 fantastic teachers, and those teachers, we're just going to miss them so much because they are wonderful and amazing, but they are leaving really under their own volition for, what they want to do next and where they need to move. Because of that, we have Miss Johnson retiring, right? So we moved, we ended up hiring 3 kindergarten pairs to put in there. Miss Johnson is leaving. We moved Miss Gallimore, who we already had, into that role. And then we hired another para. So we've got our kindergarten paras ready to go. We hired a 1st grade DLI teacher because we know Miss Park is going to be our Miss Chu is going to be our new Our Leaders coach. Excited about that. So we hired an awesome DLI teacher from Bolton, and she's an experienced English side DLI teacher. So we're excited to have her come over here and work with our kids. We hired 2 1st grade teachers. We hired a 3rd grade teacher. Okay. And if I need to walk through any of these reasons why, I can. This is actually supposed to say 2nd grade. I'm so sorry. We already did first. 2 2nd grade teachers. And we hired 2 2nd because we grew. We went from 6 to 8. So those were new positions. Okay. So people didn't leave. We just went from 6 to 8 teachers. We hired a 3rd grade teacher because we're looping a 3rd to 4th because we lost a 4th grade teacher. So we're just going to fill it with a 3rd grade teacher. And we hired a new 3rd grade teacher who's going to jump right in there and do fantastic. We hired 2 4th grade teachers. 1 4th grade teacher really, and then moved 1 up into that role. And we're excited about our 4th grade team and having 7 staff. We hired a Our Leaders coach. We hired a new ESOL intervention teacher because Ms. Bartlett is leaving. We hired an autism resource teacher at PC because Ms. McCracken is leaving. And we hired a clerk for Mary. And we've made recommendations for all of this. If you think it is easy during everything that has been happening over the past 3 months to hire all these positions and onboard and interview and recommend for hire and screen resumes, you'd be wrong, but we make it look easy around here. We have an awesome team to help sit on interviews. So if any staff sat on interviews on here or know anybody that did, thank you. So I wanted to let you guys know that we're in great shape for next year. And these are all phenomenal people. We get the cream of the crop. All right, some additional items. I need you all to do this. Don't forget voting. Shout out to our people that are running. Many of them are on here. We missed the day by like 1 day. If we had our GOTeam meeting next week, they could join immediately, but they're just on here now and then they will join us next year. But encourage people to vote. Thank you. I've been on many text chains that are like, find your link. This is it. The biggest part, like I've heard, I think is just finding the link to vote. The good news is we have the highest parent voting percentage in the district. Does anybody want to know what that percentage is?
It was 20%.
22%.
I want to know what it is.
22%.
I put it in the B mail hoping our parents would be a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, 22%.
Was
So
that as
what'd you say?
is that as of yesterday, 22%?
I got that last night from Diane Jacoby.
Okay.
I mean, it may be higher. Look, they get a big push this last day. They get their minds out. I don't know, but I mean, look, taking surveys is hard. Going back to find a link for a survey is even harder. Maybe APS is exploring different ways to learn how to do this or whatnot, but 22% of our families have voted. Okay, let's keep rolling. Announcement, this is for y'all. Okay. There's a principal feedback survey that's available now, apparently. I did not get that. I don't get that. So check your email and take that, please, if you need to make a note of that. And then you also, I believe, have a GOTeam satisfaction survey. That'll come out May 1st. So you're gonna have your principal feedback survey and you'll have your satisfaction survey. You can do principal now, satisfaction on May 1st. And then complete your required trainings. I think we're good with our trainings. All right.
The live one, but I keep following up and they tell me it's coming soon. So I'll just keep following up. At least I have a
That's
document.
the same thing I'm getting too.
Okay. We're consistent.
Welcome to my life. Okay.
I think they just are gonna do that once a year. Like you may not get it until
In
next
the
August.
summer. Yeah, it's like in June.
Right.
No, I think it's in August.
I feel like I did
Before.
mine in June.
Oh, maybe.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have. Okay, we talked about our staff security preferences. We talked about our map data. We are all queued up and set because of your hard work leading right into Georgia milestones. So there's nothing else you need to do this year. I just want to say thank you once again for being super collaborative and helpful. For those that are rolling off this year, like Maggie, I mean, we've worked together through it all. We were talking about it the other day. It's been like 4 or 5 years. Like we were in the heart of the pandemic trying to get out of that thing together. And here we are. So shout out to y'all. Thank you so much for a great year. GOTeam is such a powerful, fun force to work for. It's one of my favorite committees outside. You have your PTA and your foundations and all this other stuff, but GOTeam is where the magic happens. So shout out to y'all. Thank you. And that's all I have. If anybody wants to share anything else, the floor is open. All right. Well, I'm going to close it out then.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we've reached the end of the agenda. No other business at the time. We did hold a NAPS meeting last night at primary campus for the Senate seat, District 38. So just to let everyone know that there's a Senate seat primary race in May that hopefully everyone will vote on. That's an important position. We held a forum last night at primary campus. So thank you, Jay, for letting us do that. So it is important. It's really low turnout, but we're going to get the video out on the NAPS website too, so you can look at the people with the issues, but all the candidates were really good. And that's all I have. Any other announcements? Talent show tonight?
Talent show in about an hour.
Yep. All right. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? The last meeting of the year.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Thomas. A second?
Second the motion. Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley Mathis. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, meeting is adjourned at 4:28 p.m. Thank you guys. Congrats on a great year, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.